What's poppin', everybody? You are now watching Juke Boy Sports Show. I'm your host, King Ralph, here with the homie and my co-host as well, Kai. What's happening, bro?
What's good, man? Boom.
Hey,
We about to have some fun today.
yeah, man, it's been a good one.
Yeah.
Good weekend. My Bulls getting smacked around. Not really looking at all that great, but hey, we're not gonna talk about that on the show. Some good football. I'll
Yeah.
tell you that much.
Yeah.
But before we get started, y'all, gotta send a shout out to our sponsors. You see the logo behind me, so you know what that means. If you want to do any photo shoots, music videos, podcasts like you're watching, call the number on the bottom of the screen, 707 Fitboxer. And we're just gonna jump straight into it, man.
Like crisscross. Jump.
But yeah, my Raiders lose.
Mhm.
I feel like the refs did it on purpose, man. But that's not even what we're talking about here. Bills smacked the Patriots around.
Yeah.
Bengals squeak out a close one. Who else got slapped around? Cardinals get slapped around by the
Cardinals.
Rams.
Yeah,
that was
very
another
not really competitive.
one. The Cowboys game wasn't competitive like that until the fourth quarter.
Yeah. Some miscues here and there.
49ers squeak out after controlling pretty much all of that game.
Yep.
What am I missing?
Let's
Chiefs
see.
smack around the Steelers.
Yeah, the Chiefs smacked the Steelers, and that was let's see. Well, because the Titans and the Packers have not played yet, they will be playing. So those are teams
So it
on the
was Raiders,
bye.
Bengals,
Raiders. Yep.
Bills,
Patriots and
Patriots,
Bills. Mm-hmm.
Steelers,
Chiefs,
Rams, Cardinals,
and Cardinals. Yep.
49ers, Cowboys.
And
I feel like
49ers,
there should have been
Cowboys.
another one then.
Oh, on the AFC side, right? No. Yeah.
So it's Cardinals, Rams. Yeah.
We'll get it down.
Yeah. But we'll get it for the next one because
Yeah.
really we're talking about here is the best performer
Mhm.
from this week's wild card round.
Okay.
Go
so
ahead, G.
I'll take it off. Or take off, excuse me. The best playoff performer for the wild card round for me.
Eagles, Bucks.
Oh, Eagles, Bucks. Wow. Woo! I guess that's the game that we didn't care about.
Right.
Oh man, the Tampa Bay Pirates ate Eagle. I call them the Pirates. They ate Eagle for for lunch that day.
Very
But
true.
yeah, so the best playoff performer for me for the wild card round was Josh Allen. I should actually be giving out trophies for the entire Bills offense because the Bills offense was immaculate.
Yeah, they were
One of my
clicking on
favorite
all
words,
cylinders.
They were
like people
clicking on
like to
all
say.
cylinders. Yes, firing on all cylinders. They were a model of perfection. And I truly mean this, Ralph. They're a model of perfection. Anytime that you can move the football down the field, right? 7 straight possessions and end up in a score 7 straight times with no punts, no field goals, no turnovers. That's the first time that's happened in NFL playoff history. So I have to give it to Josh Allen, who was the quarterback of that offense, and he quarterbacked that offense down the field. Devin Singletary had two touchdowns. Josh Allen ran for had 6 carries for 6 rushing yards. He had an 84% completion percentage where he completed 21 out of 25 passes, had 308 passing yards and 5 touchdowns. It was an immaculate performance. And what made it so great was it was against a division rivalry. So both teams know each other fairly well.
Sure,
and they both split the season series. So going into that, yes, the Bills were favored. However, Bill Belichick and his pedigree, his playoff experience going into that weekend versus the number 2 defense in the NFL, which used to be the number 1 defense, but it's a top 5, top 3 defense in the league.
Sure.
To be able to do that and move the ball the way they did, I have to give Josh Allen credit. He came in there with a mission. They came, they saw, they conquered, and now he's on to the next challenge, which will be the Kansas City Chiefs in the division round. So who's your playoff performer, Ralph?
First off, I want to send a shout out. Somebody that we could not stop. Shout out to Jamar Chase.
Oh yeah.
Now he's not my performer of the week.
Okay.
But
he could be in there, even though he didn't really do anything, but just off.
I mean, he definitely had 9 catches for like 116 yards.
Yeah.
So like he definitely put his imprint on the game. He just didn't score any touchdowns.
Yeah.
But we got history on our hands.
Mm-hmm.
Travis Kelsey becomes the first player in NFL history to throw a touchdown, receive a touchdown, and have over 100 yards reception.
I like that.
Receiving yards in a playoff game. So I got to get a shout out to him, man. Travis Kelsey just goes to show you, year in and year out, he's clearly the best tight end in football.
Yeah, yeah.
Clutch performer, plays very well in big games.
Mhm.
It's not really too many people that you can sit there and try to sit like because it and the tight end position is so
It's like
like
three people:
yeah,
Kelsey, Andrews, Waller.
right. And it's like outside of that, you had Kittle in there at one point, but because it's Kelsey and Kittle that run the tight end
Yeah, Dawson
camp.
Knox is there
But like
too.
there's
But I think Andrews and
a
Waller
huge fall
usurped.
off.
I think Waller actually kind of usurped Kittle, or he could be in the same tier as him.
Yeah,
And Andrews balled out this year, had
right.
1,000 yards,
Yeah,
with like 3 different
he
quarterbacks.
finally played. He finally played
Yeah, he
like how
finally
he
reached
should.
exactly. Yeah, but Kelsey's
Yes,
one
most
of
definitely. But Kelsey, shout out to Kelsey, man. That's definitely
Yeah.
who I would go with.
yeah.
As
Not
far as my
Pat-
performer,
Not Pat Fryermuth of the Steelers. I'm messing with you.
no, not at all.
Had to add some comedy. In there, guys. All right.
But yeah. So we're not gonna spend too much time with that. On
Keep
to
it
the next
moving.
one.
On to the
Big
next
deal or
one.
whatever, y'all. So
All right.
got some pretty good ones we can talk about today.
Yeah.
So Kevin Durant.
Mm.
I'm trying to think of who it was. I want to say his own teammate fell into his knee.
Mhm.
I think it was Brent Brown fell
Mhm.
into his knee. He's out with a sprained MCL 4 to 6 weeks. This is a big deal.
Yes, it is a big deal. It's a big deal because Kevin Durant, with all due respect, before Kyrie Irving had emerged and came to that team, was the most integral and important piece of that offense. And defensively, he was adding a level of rim protection that they did not have because they don't have any really interior presence outside of Speedy Claxton,
True.
who, he's up and down and he needs to be used more. The most prolific scorer in the game, Kevin Durant, also who many believe is the best player in the game. Some people say it's KD. Some people say it's Giannis. Some people even throw Steph Curry in there, and then you have your LeBron fandoms guys, not you, but
Right.
who always say LeBron is the best until he retires and hangs up number 23. So yeah, Kevin Durant, because he was really that catalyst for that offense, because James Harden was supposed to be the orchestrator and kind of help make it go, but James Harden has his numbers has suppressed, his production has suppressed. Right. And so now those guys, him and Kyrie Irving, are going to have to lift up. And also, my last point on it, and obviously I'll let you go, Ralph, was you got to look at what he was able to do with the G League players earlier in the season when the guys were going out with COVID. They were bringing guys up, calling guys up, and KD was trying to hold it down. Now, they weren't really beating 500 teams. They did get a win against Philly 1. I think they split that so far.
Yeah.
But KD, obviously, all respect to KD, one of the prolific scorers and just players, excuse me, because he also does the defensive side of the game. But I do think it's a big deal because I think they're saying he's going to be out for close to a month. I think so. With the guys like the Milwaukee Bucks, Embiid hitting his stride.
Yeah.
Your Bulls, I know they're on a downturn, but we expect Caruso to come back at some point.
Exactly.
I think KD
He tweeted. He tweeted that he would be.
That.
He could. Somebody put that. Somebody tweeted they missed Caruso.
Yeah.
Pickpocketing people, and he was like, "I can't wait to get back on
get
the court."
back.
So
yeah, KD, for me personally, I think it is a big deal for him.
I do too.
Yeah.
Just because of everything, like he was my MVP.
Okay.
At this point, and we'll talk about it
That's
later
fair.
in more depth.
Mhm.
So I think that one, with him possibly being the best player, arguably the best player in the league, an MVP candidate, best player on a team filled with all stars, and just generational talent. So it's like when you miss that, it's like he's clearly the person to close the game. Now, when it comes on a part-time basis, you got Kyrie who can close the game.
Oh yeah, one of the best. Yeah.
James can just run the offense and get his buckets when need be. But at the end of the day, it's kind of, you definitely will miss him, especially for 4 to 6 weeks. Especially if it ends up going to 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Then rather than it being closer to 4, it's going to end up being a big issue.
And last point, remember, we didn't mention it, but Kyrie Irving can only play the road games right now, right? So also that's huge with KD being out. So
true.
Yeah.
True. LeBron issues an apology to Lakers fans. I'm going to pull it up here. It's not very long. It's just hashtag Laker Nation. I apologize, and I promise we'll be better. Is this a big deal, or is it whatever?
I feel like all these things are big deals. I'm gonna say big deal. Here's why. Because it was LeBron, Ramon, and James that initiated the tweet or issued the tweet out prior to the season. Keep that same energy, regardless of what people were saying, regardless of him
Mhm.
saying our team is old. He said, "You guys said." He said, "Tell me our team is old." I don't have the exact tweet up, excuse me, but he said, say our team's old, say our team will struggle, say our team is this, that, and that. Keep that same energy at the end of the season. Well, here we are mid-season, and your team has not gotten any better. You yourself, LeBron, though, all props to you. You're taking the mantle of performing at a high level at
Mhm.
age 37. Highly impressive. Haven't really seen it at this level by a 37-year-old to be able to average the points, shoot at the efficiency that you're shooting, and playing defense, playing center. However, your team as a whole, you bring in a guy like Russell Westbrook. You trade in the Krabby Patty formula for the Chum Bucket formula. You know what I'm saying? You give the Bulls a prize jewel and Alex Caruso. You give the Wizards a KCP. So I think it is a big deal because the Lakers are the most talked about team. That's kind of the reason, right? You know what
True.
I'm saying?
True.
Whether or not you care about them or not, they're the most talked about team, and it's a big deal because he's apologizing because of who it's coming from.
Right.
Magic Johnson, someone with ties to the organization,
Exactly.
came out and then tagged the owner, Jeannie Buss. So now you're trying to get the owner involved, and now I'm getting news, Ralph, recently before the show that there's rumblings of wanting to fire Frank Vogel. So so now it's like, okay, you get what I'm saying, and that was reported. So I think what could have been just a molehill has now become a mountain
Right.
off that. So that's the only reason why I would say it's a big deal, because there's more links to it.
All right. All right.
So yeah.
So next one,
All right.
I'm gonna let you, and I'm gonna jump in on this one.
Yeah. Mhm.
My man Mike Mayock relieved of his duties from the Raiders. Um, at first I was kind of like, I mean, it's whatever. We still played very well.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I do ultimately believe that it could possibly be a big deal, and I think it is a big deal because one, it gets rid of all connections to the John Gruden regime.
Mm.
Um, on all accounts, we're most likely going to end up getting a brand new coach, letting go of our offensive defensive coordinator as well. I don't know about defensive coordinator, but I definitely think we'll definitely get rid of the offensive coordinator depending on who it is that we bring in.
Okay.
I would assume defensive coordinator as well. Me personally, I wanted us to keep Basaccio. Um, Making history, making the playoffs, even being in that playoff hunt after everything that happened. Like I went and I was watching like all the players that got arrested, everything that happened this year, having to release two people from the same draft that we drafted in the first round in the same within 2 weeks from each other, getting rid of our coach
Yeah.
from the offensive emails, multiple people being arrested on DUIs, and just the up and down season going on, losing streaks, winning streaks. It being able to get in the playoffs was such a big deal to me that I didn't want to see it happen. Mike Mayock did a really good job. Not everything like we talked about off the camera.
Yeah.
Not everything like because some people were like, well, he drafted Clelin Ferrell. Well, it was like there's talks of whether or not that was his decision or not.
Mm.
Max Crosby, great pick.
Yeah.
Nate Hobbs played very well. To the point where certain people we drafted, we felt comfortable having them take a back seat to even letting people go without
Right. Right.
because there's some times where people can get away with certain stuff that they do because of how much talent they have. I think drafting someone like a Nate Hobbs, you get Jonathan Abrams, you get a Josh Jacobs, all within the same regime. What was it? Colton Miller
Mhm.
was another one that people were kind of like looking like, what? Now he's a legit starting left tackle.
Yeah.
My only problem with him is that he kind of reached for people that fit the scheme. Now, whether or not that was his doing or was that John Gruden's doing
Yeah.
is up in the air. I hate to see him go because of some of the players that he did pick. Picking up someone like a Waller
Yeah. Oh yeah. Waller's been great.
and been great.
Believing in Derek Carr.
Exactly. Sticking with Derek Carr
Yeah.
when need be. He had a really good season. Which, like, I don't know, some of the stuff you see on social media. Like, I just seen just now, great fits for Derek Carr in 2022, and I'm like, yo, if
Man,
he's not with the Raiders,
right. Like, wow. He might be on the Steelers, and that would be in my division, but
Jesus Christ.
hey, but that would be a perfect scheme for him. But I mean,
Right,
he's not the reason why they lost that
right,
game. You know what I'm saying?
right,
There's a lot of different things we could talk about why they lost that game. But anyway,
exactly.
yeah.
And then last but not least, before we start talking about this divisional round,
Mhm.
Tristan Wirth. I'm trying to remember. Is he starting left tackle?
Yeah. Wait, actually, you know what? I got you.
Tristan Wirth, offensive lineman for the Buccaneers,
Make sure they'll get the right position.
left the game on Sunday, didn't return. Is a game day decision. So is this a big deal or whatever?
Yeah, I can't exactly get his actual like position. I see the lineman position. I know he's lineman, but I'm trying to figure out is it left or right. But yeah, it is a big deal for the Buccaneers because with they're going to be playing the Los Angeles Rams and route checks out for us. They're going to be playing the uh, L.A. Rams, excuse me, during the playoff matchup. And we look at the L.A. Rams. What are they prone to do? They have playmakers all along their front for their defensive line. You have a Leonard Floyd. You have a Aaron Donald, who's been a defensive player of the year candidate, a generational talent who you need to double. So when you doubled Aaron Donald, that frees up and opens up the blitzing lanes and the pass rush lanes for a guy like Leonard Floyd. Then you have a guy like Von Miller, who they traded for, and see this wrecking havoc, just going after the quarterback, going after the football, making huge plays. So with Tom Brady, he's going to need that because remember, he doesn't have an Antonio Brown as a safety valve, Chris Godwin as a safety valve. And Tom Brady does a good job of getting the ball out quickly. But sometimes when you have those objects and these athletes that they have, like Aaron Donald and Leonard Floyd and et cetera, you're going to need that tackle. So anytime you lose tackles in the playoffs and the postseason play, it's huge. I'll give you an example. David Bakhtiari last year, when they went up against the Bucks, they didn't have the Green Bay Packers didn't have Bakhtiari, and we saw the havoc that the Bucks were able to kind of unleash on Aaron Rodgers. So I do think it's going to be a big deal. I know you had the Rams winning the Super Bowl or going to the Super Bowl, so I think that this is going to be a key piece that they're missing if he's not, able to come back healthy.
I do think that it is a big deal. I tried to look it up. It doesn't say whether or not he plays left or right tackle,
Yeah.
but he plays offensive tackle, and I don't
He might move around
see
or something.
anyone that would play left tackle over him.
Okay.
He's been able to step in since being drafted in the 2020 draft. His rookie season, he gave up 1 sack to Khalil Mack, and that's it.
That's impressive.
Coming out of Iowa, so like I do think that when you start to analyze the game and the matchups, when you think about Aaron Donald, who you can move inside, outside, you think about the addition of Von Miller, and then you start to think about, I want to say they got Leonard Floyd on the other side. So it's like when you think about just the pass rush itself, it's definitely gonna affect in protection because now you're gonna have to chip, slide, and add extra pieces, which will change how many receivers will be going down the field to catch passes from Tom Brady. Now we've learned that when they start to have protection issues, Tom Brady's kind of adjusted to the point where you get the ball out quicker. But this is where I think that and I'll go into more depth when I start talking about who I'm picking. But I think that this is going to be a big deal in the end because how strong that pass rush can be. Von Miller got a sack in this past game too. So
they getting warmed up.
Right. So for me, it's a big deal. All of these, I think they were a big deal. I think if we're going to end up talking about them, it's very rare that some of them be like, yeah, I mean, it was whatever.
Yeah.
Especially if we're talking about it, bringing it up.
Right.
But divisional round, I was able to look it up.
We got our it's 4. Wait, no. Yeah. We got the Bengals and we have the Titans. We have the Packers. We have the 49ers. We have the Bucks. We have the Rams. And we have the Chiefs and the Bills.
True.
So which one do you want to start off, AFC or NFC?
So we'll just go down the list.
Okay.
So Saturday at 1:30, the Bengals and Titans
Mhm.
will be going at it. Titans will be the home team, the number one seed in the AFC versus the number four Bengals. What you got?
All right. So with that game, I have the Tennessee Titans. First and foremost, I want to give a shout to the division rival of my Ravens, the Cincinnati Bengals, for a great season. They have playmakers on the in the receiving core and in the quarterback position and at the running back position. So they have a lot of playmakers. You have a Joe Mixon, you have a Joe Burrow, you
Mhm.
have a Jamar Chase who's continuously giving in a good rhythm right now, catching the football,
True.
destroying any cornerback, wrecking havoc in his path. CJ Uzama, a tight end, he's good. T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. So you have a bevy of weapons.
Yeah.
However, I do believe that the the Las Vegas Raiders, really had a chance to win. Like
Right.
we talked about prior in our show, getting that pass rush. But even then, Derek Carr almost drove them back from behind. And there was a controversial call, which we could
Mhm.
talk about, that shouldn't have been a touchdown due to the whistle. The
Right.
whistle was heard. Both players on both sides heard it, and so therefore we could talk about, well, maybe the Bengals should not be in this game. Let's just
Right.
be real, and that's not saying they're not talented.
Right.
Okay. Furthermore, Ralph, they lost a key defensive end, who was huge that they acquired for them. So their best pretty much defensive end on the Bengals roster. And so now with Derrick Henry coming back and the way that the Titans
Is that
are,
Hendrickson? Is that what you're
Hendrickson,
talking about?
yeah,
Yeah, he was like fifth in sacks in the league too.
yeah. I think he had like 12 or something. So that's going to be huge for that Tennessee Titans offensive line, their ability to run the ball. You're getting Julio Jones back. Pretty much everyone will be back healthy going
Yeah.
into Tennessee. I'm going to go with the Titans in this game. My only pause for concern, my last point on that game is this. Derrick Henry, you always mention, you actually told me this like weeks ago before a show. You said that they need to give him carries. That's how he gets in the rhythm.
Right. Yeah.
Do you go away from your game plan
Right.
trying to implement Derrick Henry?
Exactly. You go a little too heavy.
Exactly. And so that could be where maybe the Bengals take advantage of it. But that injury, I think, is going to be key. So I'm going to go with the Titans in the way that Mike Vrabel has his guys coached up.
Yeah, I
It's
definitely
tough.
I definitely agree with you on that one. So I'm
Okay,
not
so
gonna
you got
hold too much
all right.
time on that one. For every reason that you brought up.
Mm.
Um it's it's one of those things where that offense is so explosive where Jamar Chase can definitely just catch a quick slant and take it to the cribby.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so it's one and T. Higgins has that same ability. Tyler Boyd, out
Uzama.
of the slot, the tight end,
Yeah.
Joe Mixon. So like the offense is ready.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
just depends on how much time the Titans take to control
Mm.
the clock. Because if
Mm.
they can control the clock, then it keeps that offense off the field, doesn't really keep them in rhythm. And we seen when it came down to it in crunch time, the Raiders were able to get them off the field
Yeah.
and be able to get more possessions for their offense. So, and whether or not you think that the Raiders were a good team or not, should they have been there?
They almost won.
They almost won too.
Yeah.
So especially with the Titans being the best team in the AFC by all accounts. So it's like
Yeah.
we'll see what happens. But me personally, I'm gonna go Titans.
All right. So you got
Um,
Vrabels.
because it's at this point, I don't think that I think the losses on defense on that line is going to give the Titans the ability to control the clock.
Yeah, and that's where their weakness is the trenches. If you're going
Yeah.
to get them, it's the trenches.
Oh,
It's
that's true.
on the offensive line and then on the defensive line. So yeah, we'll see.
And so, game number 2 on Saturday, 5:15 p.m. And all of these times I'm giving you are Pacific time because that's where we are out here on the West Coast.
Yep.
49ers, Packers, number 6
Mm.
49ers going into Lambeau Field
Mm.
to take on the number 1 ranked NFC team, Green Bay Packers.
I got the Packers, man. I got the Packers. You're looking at a team that's been playing well pretty much all season. The one hiccup they had was Aaron Rodgers. Obviously the COVID situation
Yeah.
and missing that game, but they still almost beat the Chiefs, which is crazy. But the
Right.
Chiefs are the same team as they were then, and neither are the Packers. You know, the Packers been hitting this playing great football. You have Bakhtiari, you have Zadarius Smith, you have Jair Alexander. You know, guys are getting healthy. And I look at the I look at the 49ers, their run game, they had a good zone runs in game. Jimmy G was not tasked with really throwing the football that much. I think Deebo Samuel will still be Deebo Samuel,
Right.
but overall, the Packers, top to bottom, are a better team, and I believe that they're going to get this victory. I believe that Jimmy G will be forced to throw a football at some point in time. I think they're going to he might turn the ball over. So I'm gonna keep that one short. I got the Packers, bro, because that's my Super Bowl pick.
Right.
So yeah.
Same here. I
Yeah.
agree. The more with the one thing that I can see possibly happening,
Okay.
and it kind of happens, and you can kind of say the same thing for the Titans as well.
Mhm.
When you get that 2 weeks off, you can come in
Yes.
rusty.
Yes.
And I think with the Titans, how rusty can you be when your strength is running football?
Yeah. They've been dinged up, so I feel
Right.
like they kind of needed.
Yeah. But with the Packers, you need that timing. You need the it's more likely for you to show up rusty or happen to be rusty when you're having to throw the football versus when you're having to run the football.
Now,
And so-
did Rodgers actually play like the first half of the week 18 though? I think because he was trying to go for that MVP. Remember?
yeah.
I think he might have played. Which,
But it's
you're
like you still
right.
had 2 weeks off though.
That's true. That's true.
You still had 2 weeks off in that same conversation. So it's like
Okay.
I can see the 49ers having an opportunity.
Oh yeah.
But with how potent that offense is,
Mm.
I don't see anybody being able to stop Devontae Adams.
Right. And Rodgers
and they
kinda
still
owns them.
can run the football.
That's true. That's true. What, Jones and Dillon?
Yeah.
Oh, AJ Dillon.
Yeah. And so it's like
Yeah.
I don't see this game happening to where they would fall into that trap. Especially with the offense, if they can put up points, the more you make Jimmy G throw the football, the more he's likely to throw it to your side of the football, your side of the team.
And the Packers get takeaways.
Exactly.
Yeah.
At a pretty good clip too.
Yeah.
All right, next one. On to Sunday.
You want to do that one? Start it off.
Yeah.
All right.
Because this is my pick.
Yeah.
To get to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Rams at noon on Sunday. Rams, Buccaneers. LA Rams do have to go into Tampa and eke out a victory, but I think they're going to do it. This is one of those games, like we talked about off the camera, where they're going to miss AB.
Preach.
By all statistical measures and games we've watched, if you go back and watch the film, Mike Evans struggles against Jalen Ramsey. He might have a big play here and there, but from just a total looking at his catches, targets, and the amount of yards and touchdowns, he struggles against Jalen Ramsey. So, and like I brought up before earlier in the show, with the pass rush that the Rams have, and if Wirfs can't play,
right,
are the receivers going to be able to get open quickly for Tom Brady to get the ball out of his hand quickly? And I think that that's going to be the telltale of this, plus the injuries within the Buccaneers, defensive backs, having a Cooper Kupp having a heck of a season. Odell Beckham is starting to look like Odell Beckham. So I'm going Rams.
Okay. For
all the reasons that I just mentioned. But it's going to be still think Tom Brady's not going to get smacked.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't think we'll ever see Tom Brady go out like Dan Marino in the playoffs.
Man, low blow, man.
And Dan Marino is my guy, man. I wanted him to come back so bad.
Yeah,
bro, by that Jaguars team.
Oh man, the Dolphins fan, we're gonna get hate mail.
Hey,
so I'll keep it short and brief. Pretty much everything we talked about prior to the show is the reason why I believe that the Rams, or excuse me, in the prior segment is the reason why I believe that the Rams will win that game. However, I also want to add on something to this. Odell Beckham Jr., I believe he made the right move, right? I actually talked to one of my friends about this, and he thought that, Odell should have joined Aaron Rodgers and everything. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, on paper, I was like, you know what? It sounds good. You have between Aaron Rodgers, Matthew Stafford, and what's the other quarterback name? Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
However, when you think about if you go with Patrick Mahomes, you won't necessarily be the star there, right? I'm not really knocking Odell, but you won't be the star there, right? You have still Tyreek, Travis. You have Mahomes, the big guy. You go to Green Bay, you have Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers will get in your face. But you go to LA, you go to some place where you can be the star. You have everything that you need outside of football as well. And it's a perfect fit. Oh, Robert Woods conveniently, injuries happen, it's free
Right.
injury,
Right.
conveniently gets injured, and you have Odell Beckham you can slot in the slot. So I think it actually worked out for all parties involved. And I think this may prove to pay dividends for Odell and possibly getting a Super Bowl ring down the line, you know.
Right.
So we'll see. I like the Rams in this game. And if they lose the game, it's because Tom Brady just did something crazy.
Right.
True.
True.
All right.
And then on to the last game
There we go.
of the
Perfect.
weekend. We got, and I think this one's going to be a really, really good one.
It's gonna be fun, bro.
I think it's going to be.
This could be the Super Bowl right here, man.
Yeah, I do think this is going to be high scoring. I would be really surprised if this game goes under.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Chiefs, Bills at 3:30 Sunday afternoon.
Yeah. Who wants to go? Me, you.
Man, I'm gonna go first.
Yeah, go first.
So like, because I had to eat crow and sit here, I didn't even have the Bills in this game.
Wait, who did you have?
I had the Patriots, man.
Right.
Yeah, I had the Patriots.
Yeah.
And I do think that if the Patriots would have won, the Patriots would have played the Titans, and then the Bengals would have played the Chiefs. Had the if everything happened the way I had it happening.
Right.
But looking at this game, man, it's gonna be a lot of points scored. One of the things that I do think could end up being a savior for the Chiefs was the addition of Melvin Ingram.
Right.
Getting him, because if you looked at Chris Jones, heck of a talent on the defensive line, defensive tackle, but he can move inside, outside. With Melvin Ingram out of the lineup before they were able to acquire him from the Steelers, you had to have Chris Jones move around that line. Now he can focus on being a D tackle who can also move to the outside and outside on the other side of a Melvin Ingram, or you can have them both rushing from the same side. And I do think that with that combination is going to give, especially what you're playing in Arrowhead. Arrowhead is one of the loudest stadiums in all of football, to where if they can get them in some passing situations with how loud the crowd is, the pass rush, while also you still got the Honey Badger and still the Honey Badger.
The Honey Badger.
And so plus that offense that I said, I don't see the Bills defense being able to do what they did to Mac Jones in that offense, what they were able to, I don't see them being able to do that to the Chiefs.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair.
So I do think it is going to come down to who's going to play smarter football and not turn the ball over. I think whoever wins the turnover battle is who wins the game.
So here's the scary thing about this. This is the Bills Super Bowl more than it's the Chiefs Super Bowl.
True.
And that might be the deciding factor, bro. I'm going to be honest with you. And I know I picked the Chiefs to face in the State Farm Bowl versus the Rodgers, but I'm having some reservations. I truly am having some reservations. Why? Because anytime, look, man, that still was a good defense. Now, they did have injuries, but hey, injuries are part of the sports, right?
Yeah.
To go 7 straight possessions without a punt or field goal, do something the first time in NFL history, hey, I got to give them their credit, right? You know what I'm saying? So for the Bills to be able to move the ball, initiate their offense in that form or fashion, it was highly impressive. Then you had Singletary doing what he did. Now you hope they didn't, blow the gasket or whatever they call it, in that one game, and they left some things. But also going into the draft, they went and drafted players for the Kansas City Chiefs battle, and they have a lot more speed on there. So guys like Tyreek Hill and things of that nature, so they can deal with it. I believe is it Jordan Pryor is their safety? Is that his name? And so they have him there. He's great. They're getting turnovers. They still had a great pass rush this season. So I think that's going to be key. And also the psychological effect of knowing that they can go and win in Arrowhead because they did so in week 5 of this season. So all these things, you're like, okay, well, the Bills. And then what you said about the Chiefs. Exactly what you said about the Chiefs, but then you have Patrick Mahomes playing well, right? Yeah. Now they did allow the Steelers to score, I think, 21 points, but still, C.J. Watt is great. Big Ben is better than Mac Jones at the quarterback position, which is your argument, right?
Right.
And then they found Jerick McKinnon, who his ball carrier vision is better than Clyde Edwards-Helaire, so that could be a nice find as well. Right. So I believe the team that's going to be able to run the ball, I think that will be the X factor. Jerick McKinnon for the Chiefs, and then obviously turnovers and different things and like that for the Bills. So I think it's gonna be a field goal game. I'll say this. What does our friend Tar always say? He says that Patrick Mahomes will give you a duck or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I forgot what he calls it when he throws it, whatever. And you have to catch it. Can Jordan Pryor, catch a potential pick? That could be the game ceiling, or will be Josh Allen and him throwing a laser or something like
Yeah.
that. So
Because he's a gunslinger.
he's a gunslinger, right? He's a gunslinger, So I believe that the Bills, they look really good, man. They really look good, but
You gotta pick somebody, bro. Yeah, gotta pick somebody.
I'm gonna go with the Chiefs. I
Yeah.
don't like how Michael Irvin said the dynasty is over. That was premature. I don't think they're gonna
Yeah.
win the Super Bowl, but I'm gonna pick the Chiefs. I think I'm gonna stick with they beat the Bills and they beat the Titans, the two teams, because this is not the same Chiefs team that they were
No,
early in
not
the
at all.
season. I think
Because
they're a
that was
lot
when they were
better.
reeling.
Yeah, I think they're more better than
And that was before they got Melvin Ingram.
Yeah, I think they're more better than they. I think they're better now than the Bills are better than what they were. I think
Right.
the Bills are more closer to. You get what I'm saying?
True. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Whew, I know it's a mouthful, but
Right.
it's gonna be a field goal game, bro.
It's gonna be a good one, man.
Yeah, one by field
I'm
goal
not gonna
still.
make you do nothing just for or pick just for the
Yeah,
sake
for the
of
sake of
for
yeah.
content later.
Yeah. Did you pick the Chiefs, right? Or you pick the Bills?
Chiefs.
Okay, Chiefs.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Because I still got Chiefs Rams.
Right. Okay.
I still got Chiefs Rams.
Oh, that's that 2018 regular season matchup right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
And so on to the next one. Starting to get into this point where the NFL season is winding down. NBA is starting to heat up. College basketball is starting to heat up. Now it's on to the college basketball season. Hopefully COVID doesn't start affecting the season where we don't get a March Madness.
Yeah.
But we got Gonzaga, Auburn, Baylor. We talked about on the previous show has slid down in the rankings.
Yeah.
Arizona's looking good. Purdue looking good. Duke with their star freshman. Memphis with led by Penny. Imani Bates. Who is the best college basketball team?
So I had between two teams, between Auburn and Gonzaga. Those are my two teams, and they're just so happen to be in the rankings, the top two of the rankings. But I like to look at roster, and I like to look at strength of schedule, right? So currently, right now, if I have in front of me, the Auburn is 16-1. They've won 13 straight games. You know what 13 symbolize? Unlucky. Right. I ain't picking them. Sorry, but no, they the top 25 teams. They beat Loyola Illinois, who was the 22nd ranked team at the time. They beat 13 LSU. Gonzaga 14-2. They have our man Chet Holmgren, amazing player, talent wise. They're more talented than Auburn to me. They went on a 7-game win streak. They've beaten multiple top 25 teams. Number 18 Texas Tech, number 9 UCLA. Number 23, Texas, whose bread and butter is their defense. They got they're supposed to be a good defensive team, and they were able to beat them. And then you have Duke was their loss, number 6 Duke. So I look at that, right? But I believe that they faced more top 25 teams. Their strength of schedule is harder, and their roster is better. So for me, I actually went with Gonzaga as my number 1. I feel like we're splitting hairs here. But I actually like Gonzaga due to the fact that Baylor wound up slipping and they wound up getting caught with that loss that they recently had. So I have to have Gonzaga.
2 straight home losses.
Yeah, 2 straight home losses. So
and they lost to that Texas Tech team.
Yeah, right, exactly. They lost to a Texas Tech team that Gonzaga was able to beat.
Right.
So I look at that. I'm like, you're able to beat the team that was in front of you was able to wind up losing to, right?
Right.
And they lost at home in form fashion. So I think Gonzaga, as around this time of the year, they're really starting to, heat up and start clicking. So I'm going to go with Gonzaga as the best team in college basketball.
With this one, man, I really was sitting there and really trying to sit.
It's tough, though.
As of right now, it's hard to look at this resume. So, I have it as what the teams were ranked when they played.
Yeah, okay.
So, when Gonzaga defeated Texas, they were ranked 5. When they beat UCLA by 20, they were ranked 2. They lost to Duke by 3, and I actually watched that game.
Yeah.
And Duke was ranked 5th. They lost to Alabama by 9, and Alabama was 16. They beat Texas Tech by 14, and they were ranked 25th. and then you just got a bunch of miscellaneous.
We call this context, ladies and gentlemen.
Right,
Context.
right.
Yes.
And so, but then when you start looking at Auburn for all the reasons that
Yeah.
you mentioned, Baylor is one of those teams that the way that Baylor plays and how, especially over the last couple of years, they've been heavy with guards.
Yeah.
They play really fast, stretch
Yeah.
the floor, pretty much switch.
Put on a great show last year.
Right. So it's like, are they gonna be able to, when it comes down to it, are they gonna be able to enforce their will on other teams? Because
Mm.
with a Chet isn't big, but he's tall.
Yeah.
Where
And he can
you got
shoot it.
and he can shoot. Then when you got then you got Timmy, where he's a legit big
Mhm.
in college. I don't know about an NBA. We're not talking about NBA right now, but
Yeah.
he's
it's
a legit
positionless
big
in the
in
NBA.
in when it comes to these positions. Because you see people that dominate that don't play that well, i.e. a Luka Garza.
Yeah.
Not that he's not playing well, he's just not getting the opportunities.
Mm.
But he was a double machine,
Oh yeah.
winning player of the year last year. So
Right.
it's but with those two as your 4 and 5
Mm.
up against Baylor, where I don't have it right in front of me, but it's
Right.
like they play so heavy with guards, so it's like they're not really going to be able to crash the boards like Gonzaga can.
Mm.
Um, where Auburn, on the other hand, I haven't really got a chance to watch an Auburn game, so I can't really tell you too much.
That's fair. That's fair.
As far as whether or not where they rank, but I've watched Gonzaga and the way that they play, um, with having older players who are in their third, fourth season
They have a good
in
mix of
college,
veterans
while
and young
also
guys.
exactly freshmen and sophomores,
Yeah.
who are both talented. So right now, I'm gonna go Gonzaga.
Okay.
I'm gonna go Gonzaga
The
with this one.
Zags with Mark
The
Few.
Zags, yeah, but we'll see. They always fumble
Right.
the bag,
Always, man.
and when it comes to the tournament, so we'll see, man.
Yeah.
But last but not least, and we talked about this earlier,
Oh, this is gonna be fun. Actually, I think this is gonna be a good one.
and with this, it gives us a lot more time to where we could talk about, because we
Yeah.
still got almost 20 minutes left in the
Oh
show.
yeah. Okay. Good. Perfect.
So it gives us an opportunity. We're going to talk about the leading NBA MVP candidate right now. We talked about KD, and
You want to give me like three, like your top three if you have three, because we
Yeah,
have a little bit of time.
yeah, I'll let you do. I'll let you go. I'll let you shoot
Okay.
yours off.
Yeah, I'll
first,
shoot mine first. Okay. So I have three candidates, and I just want to preface this with
Nothing. Go ahead, bro.
Okay,
I just
no
joking
problem.
because I said I'll let you shoot yours first. Pause.
That's a good one, man. And it's gonna be our blooper reel, bro. I like that, man. Now I had you know how we talked prior to the season in our NBA, preseason predictions and different things, and I mentioned how if you look at the history of the MVP, the last three seasons, they've been international players and they've been big men.
True.
And Giannis won 2 out of the 3, and then Jokic won last season's MVP. And so prior to I'll give you my three. I actually have my top three so far. I have Joel Embiid, I have Giannis, and I have Nikola Jokic. Now, here's the interesting thing, bro. I had guards. I had a guard or two in there before, but I feel like the bigs, as of current day NBA, I believe in terms of like the last 2 weeks or so, they've kind of usurped some of these guard plays, with the exception of a Ja Morant, who I believe has risen up. So when I look at MVP, Ralph, I go by your value to your team on both the offensive end and the defensive end, right? And not necessarily being the best player on the best team. And I look at, how much value do you give? So with with Joel Embiid, the 76ers are currently 6th in the Eastern Conference at 25-18. There's no Ben Simmons, but he hasn't had Ben Simmons at all this season.
Right.
Ben Simmons, I believe, should have been the Defensive Player of the Year last year.
Yep.
So you have a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. Tyrese Maxey has missed games due to COVID. Now, I'll preface this. Every single team has had players miss due to COVID.
Yes.
Joel Embiid is the offensive engine. They run the offense through him, and he's playing good defensively, averaging 27 points per game, 48% from the field. You might think, well, that's kind of low for a big man. However, he's taking more threes. He's shooting 38% from the three-point shot, so that's good. 11 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, 1.3 blocks. So I'm at 3. Number 2, I had Giannis. I almost had him at number 1 because he has key victories over the Nets, over the Warriors, decisive victories. However, they've been on a 2-game losing streak where they lost. They also lost back-to-back losses to the Charlotte Hornets, and they lost to the Raptors. So I'm looking at some of these lower-tier teams that they've been losing to, right? That they should be able to get wins, but they're beating the good teams. Brooke Lopez has been out due to back surgery. So Giannis has been playing some of that center position. He's playing the power forward position. He's even bringing the ball up when Drew Holiday's been out. So I think in terms of dominance of the game and versatility, I think if that was a category, I would put Giannis there. He's in the race, but I don't have him leading as a candidate anymore. And he's fifth in the Eastern Conference, who I believe is the toughest conference still. And then Nikola Jokic. And so here's where I gave Nikola Jokic. I know we talked about before the show and different things. My thing is don't just use advanced stats, right? Because you have to put context behind advanced stats and different things. However, by my definition, I have to give him some credit. He's my number one because while they're sixth in the Western Conference and the Western Conference is top heavy, if you take Jokic off that team, they plummet. They probably in the play-in or they might miss the playoffs. You might be like, why? Because Jamal Murray, he's out with the ACL. Michael Porter Jr., he's been out with the back injury. Will Barton, he got injured and he had COVID. So they have nobody who they can run offense through. You can't really run offense through a Jeff Green. Nope. You can't run offense through a Facundo Campazano, who sounds like a Stromboli piece that you eat. No offense, you know what I'm saying? He's a role player. Nice. So I have to give Jokic that because he's the engine. He's averaging almost 14 rebounds a game this season.
Crazy. I just saw that.
Yeah, 7 rebounds, 57 from the field, 25 points per game. He's carrying the Nuggets offense. He's having to step up defensively. So I'm actually going with Jokic. And then fourth, I had Ja Morant coming on strong. So my leading candidate is going to be Nikola Jokic, ahead of Giannis, ahead of Embiid, and ahead of Ja Morant for me personally. So yeah.
Me personally,
I'm DeRozan. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna start off, and I'm gonna go. Yeah. I wanted you to go first because I don't want to talk about the same people.
Exactly. Yeah.
So for me personally, Ja Morant.
Okay, I like it.
Is the first one I'm a mention. I'm sitting here looking at his stats. He's averaging 24.4 points a game, and these are candidates. These are not who I would pick to win the MVP. These are just people that could possibly be in that conversation.
Right.
He just ran off. Him and the Grizzlies just ran off 10 victories, lost to the Mavs, and then beat the Bulls last night. So 24 points, 0.4 points a game, 6.7 assists, shooting 35.5% from three this year. And that was always the one thing that can he knock down the three?
Yeah.
Shooting almost 49%, 48.7 from the field, and just leading that fight for that young team. And they played well without him, honestly.
Right.
Getting victories against the Lakers without Ja Morant, Jaren Jackson.
But no Dylan Brooks, though.
And no Dylan Brooks either. Yeah. So with them being where they are now and being, what are they, third in the West?
Yeah, third.
It's kind of hard to leave him off that list, especially with how well he's playing since he's been back.
Absolutely amazing.
Then on top of that, that's when I'm gonna bring in my boy DeMar.
All right.
Bulls are reeling right now.
Yeah.
Coming off of four losses in a row, but as of right now, 26 points a game, 5 rebounds a game, 5 assists a game. Gotta look and see as far as,
and they're number one in the East.
Yeah, I was gonna say they're. I was trying to make sure because I know they lost 4 games, because I wasn't sure if they're still, but they were. They're number one in the East. So then on top of that, being able to be with how star-studded that team is, you got Zoe, you got Vooch, you got Levine, you got DeMar, and DeMar is the closer.
Yeah.
So
clear-cut closer.
Clear-cut closer. Although I kind of disagree to a certain degree. There are some games where I feel like Levine should be closing because he's having the better game. But they still, for some reason, will go down to DeMar.
Would you say this is kind of like we talked about prior to the season, a Kawhi and PG effect is like who should be closing, but you're kind of running it through obviously a Kawhi, even though Paul George can do it in the regular season.
Right. So it is one of those things. It's interesting.
It's nice to have, though.
Right. But I do think they'll end up picking it up. I do think that they're not gonna. That team is too talented for them to just crumble at this point.
They just need the All-Star break, probably.
Right. Probably get healthy. Get Caruso back, energy guy, and get things back rolling. Towards the end of the year, it's possibility we could get Pat back. So I think for Hall,
that's huge, bro.
That'll be huge. Yeah. And for every reason that you said, man, me personally, I feel like he should have won MVP last year. But Joel Embiid keeping that team in the hunt. 27.1 points per game, 10.5 assists, And I think we're back. Well, you know what? We're just going to talk, and then I'll be able to watch it later
Yeah,
and break
you
it
get
down.
in.
But Joel Embiid, for every reason I was just talking about, man, he's been keeping that team afloat. No Ben Simmons all season. He
Yeah.
was like you mentioned before. He was a defensive player of the year. Should have been the defensive player of the year
Yeah.
last year. So without you take away someone like that,
Mhm.
and you bring in a Tyrone, was it? Is it Tyrese Maxey?
Yeah, Tyrese. Yeah, Tyrese Maxey.
And
Yep,
he's
yep,
somebody
yep.
that I really thought would have
Yeah.
been, if they were able to keep Ben, they would have been able to move Ben off the ball
Mhm.
and use Ben in the post and switch out him and Joel, where that they just open so much up for that offense in the long haul for them. So not having him around is one of those things I think is going to end up being it's going to be a. I don't think it definitely hurts their chances to actually win a championship, but I don't think it's actually going to boost Joel Embiid's what do you call it stock
Yeah.
pretty much.
Yeah.
And for that, that's why I got him at my as my MVP leader right now.
Okay.
It would have been
I like it.
KD
I like it.
for just
It's
the
just the injury
yeah,
kind of hit him at the worst time.
exactly.
You
And
know.
KD is one of those players that like when he got hurt,
Mhm.
when you start to think about like earlier today we were talking about Kobe and no weaknesses. But it's really like
Yeah. Yeah.
with Kevin Durant,
Yep.
you could put a small person on him, you could put a big person on him, you
Mhm.
could put someone who's probably a better defender like a Kawhi, and it
Yeah.
doesn't matter. He's
Because it
gonna be
doesn't.
able to get his shot off. And the one thing with Kevin Durant that's kind of like crazy to think about is it doesn't. You just got to play good defense and then hope. He's one of those players
Right.
that like you just gotta hope.
You gotta hope. Yeah.
Just
You gotta
hope he
hope.
miss.
Yeah.
And so it's wild to watch one of his games, and it sucks that he gets hurt because he really is probably my favorite person to watch.
No, he's fun to see. I know you like Katie. I like Kyrie
Yeah,
because the miniature Kobe.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
right,
So, and I'm glad you mentioned how we talked about Kobe leading up to the show because Kobe gave him high praise. He said that he was the toughest player he had to guard outside of Tracy McGrady because he never figured out how to stop KD once he
right,
came back. And I think he did something with his left hand or something like that.
yeah,
And now he's unstoppable.
right. And it's like his ability to take you off the dribble,
Right? He's
get to the
7
mid
foot.
range, hurt you in the post, attack the
Right.
rim, run the offense. We seen what he was able to do with the Bucks with a banged up James Harden, no Kyrie, and
Mhm.
still taking them to 7 games. And
Yep.
if he had my shoe size instead of his shoe size, there's
Hey.
probably them in the
The
finals.
finals rep, and he gave LeBron work all them years
Right.
before the Warriors.
Exactly.
I had to
Right.
put that out there.
Right. Because then people are always trying to sit there and act like, oh, well, he went to the Warriors. And it's
Nah,
like,
bro.
I get it, but KD is still.
I remember them regular season matchups. He was giving them work, even if the Heat won. The Heat had the
Right.
super team. KD did it.
Right. Right. And so with that, man, we over here having some technical issues. So we just gonna cut this one short, y'all. It's not that much short. It's only 5 minutes.
We got
But-
the MVPs though.
Right. We got the MVPs out. Looking forward to some more season. If anybody is watching this and you would like to be a part of our show, DM me, hit me up, comment something in the comment section, and just say, "Hey, man, I'd like to be a part of your show." Next week we will be doing a top 75 players list for the NBA of all time. We just last week wrapped up our
Top 15
top
centers.
15 centers. We did 15 positions or 15 players for all 5 positions.
Yeah.
But make sure you follow us on Instagram, J.U.K. Sports Show. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow all of that for Facebook and YouTube.
And
The He Say She Say channel, all one word. Follow me on TikTok, Twitch, um, and Instagram at KYNGRALPH.
And don't forget to comment, guys. And you can follow me on Instagram at the.houseofhoops. Once again, that's at the.houseofhoops for NBA news, highlights, player, and team analysis.
All right. And thank you all for watching. We're out of here.